The unofficial kickoff to summer finally commenced over this past weekend with Memorial Day, a long weekend, and depending on where you're at, hopefully the weather finally caught up to the timing, because in my neck of the woods, now we're finally starting to get into proper temperatures, as you can tell by the attire, and if you look a little bit closer, kind of got, a little bit of sunburn as well. I got an opportunity to be outside over the weekend, but apparently a bunch of people, especially down south, didn't quite spend as much time indoors, or rather spent far too much time indoors checking out a pair of mediocre movies. Well, okay, that's not entirely fair. Two really bad movies if we're keeping it a buck. Now, I heard a very comprehensive breakdown of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. I'm sure it's definitely going to be the final one, especially with the way that that thing ended, but in as much as it was a totally incomprehensible mess with some really terrible character work and a plot that would make a Christian manifesto make a hell of a lot more sense, there is at least some meta aspects to that film that you can go ahead and draw out of it and get something good from it. And yeah, we'll probably talk about those developments tomorrow, okay, because we got to focus on the big winner over this weekend, okay? The one film that is single-handedly going to wipe out the other failures that have happened for Disney this year, and yes, we're talking about Lilo and Stitch. Very much so, and currently on the trajectory of being the first billion-dollar movie of the year, and it's like, yeah, okay, I think everybody seen that one coming, okay? The fact that, yeah, summer is now bound for $4.2 billion after the record $326 million plus Memorial Day weekend. We haven't got the actuals in quite yet because, a holiday long weekend, so they're going to take a little bit longer on that one. But we have educated guesses that, when we've been looking at them over the past couple of weeks, have been wrong, but not terribly wrong. Normally in, on, and around $1-2 million, so close enough. So this thing could be closer to 330 when it's all said and done, or closer to 325. Doesn't matter. It still is an all-time record from the Memorial Day long weekend. And yeah, Lilo and Stitch, $183 million domestic opening weekend. This thing is a juggernaut. And yeah, even Mission Impossible 8, $77 million over the weekend. Holy Christ, man. Like, it's a big business. Big business. And it's kind of funny, right? Because these two are going to be running uncontested into the next weekend. And it's going to be interesting to see the drop-off because, well, the next time that Lilo and Stitch is going to have competition is a couple of weeks down the road, and it's going to be very likely the other film that is going to threaten for $1 billion, and it's very likely going to also hit that and very much contribute to the $4.2 billion summer. Because this is just, man, it kind of sucks, right? Because the stuff that's really getting put over is just like, it's so creatively bankrupt. Okay, we're talking about the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake, which from what I'm hearing, okay, as opposed to the stuff that I've heard about the Lilo and Stitch live action remake, how they ostensibly just, ripped out the entire meaning of the animated classic from 2002, how it's all supposed to be telling, you might have these big aspirations, but all in all, man, your family is ultimately what is most important to you. No, it's self-aggrandizement and, self-actualization that's, really most important. And, it takes a community to raise a kid, not just a family. And it's like, okay, cool. So you want to go with that stuff. But we'll talk about that a little bit later, but not going to get into the fine details on that one because I haven't heard enough about it. Haven't heard a full breakdown on it. I'm not going to go watch it. I haven't watched the animated original one. I hear great things about it, but I'm not hearing anything good about Lilo and Stitch. I haven't heard anything good about Mission Impossible 8, but that is not putting people off from seeing this stuff. So yeah, the second weekend competition for Lilo and Stitch is probably going to be minuscule, unencumbered, and it's probably going to be a very slight drop-off. Mission Impossible 8, on the other hand, I'll be interested to see because they're going to be getting some competition, quote-unquote competition, in the form of John Wick spin-off Ballerina. That's going to be coming, I think it's June 6th or something like that. But we got a little story about that later this week that we're needing to talk about as well because something very interesting is developing over there. But yeah, the moment that there's anything else to throw against this nearly 3-hour-long slogfest, yeah, it's going to fall off hard. But yeah, it's performing It's performing better than Dead Reckoning, so it's tough to say, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Right now, it's all Lilo and Stitch, baby. Okay, Memorial Day forecast, given the long holiday jump around. However, Lilo and Stitch is staying at the $183 million that the studio reported Sunday morning, while Paramount's Tom Cruise supposed final Mission Impossible movie is a tad higher at $77.5 million. Yeah, suppose, because even, the access rags are out there going, they say it's the final one, but I mean, come on. Anyways, the Deadline was told yesterday how Disney plotted its theatrical win with Lilo and Stitch, as well as the valued worth of the brand with $2.5 billion in retail sales last year alone. Because, in as much as I haven't seen the original that came out 2002, right? Early 2000s. I'll just go ahead and cover my ass on that one. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's one of those films that even if you haven't seen it, you already know enough about it, or at least you've seen Stitch somewhere. Okay, he is marketing gold, and Disney has leveraged him to being one of their most successful and recognizable faces. Like $2.5 billion in Lilo and Stitch merch last year. Okay, this is not factoring in ticket sales, obviously. This was in 2024, okay? Nothing new in regards to the IP itself, leveraging it, just simply merchandise. So yeah, of course, this film was always going to be big business. Whenever Disney was doing something, like, hell, I can remember, like, Stitch was a summon, in Kingdom Hearts 2? It's probably the most I've been exposed to him. Didn't watch a TV show. Haven't seen the movie, but it's wildly popular, and you know enough about the story, even if you haven't seen it. It's arguably one of Disney's last big breakout hits prior to Frozen, another film that would go ahead and just dominate the zeitgeist. But I would say, Stitch is obviously much more important and much more prominent in the family movie discussion, even with Frozen being a phenomenon. It's kind of fallen off, but maybe I'm a little bit too out of the loop on that one. I just think that, Stitch is kind of on another level. It's up there with a bunch of those older Disney Renaissance, and then especially a lot of the classic Golden Age Disney stuff, whereas Frozen was just kind of a flash in the pan, and that was the one thing that Jordan Peterson has actually gotten right in a long-term societal projection. Most of his shit has been completely and totally wrong. God, man, that guy's fallen off, but that's another topic for another time. But him saying that Frozen was just propaganda and wouldn't stand the test of time, yeah, it's kind of interesting how it just really hasn't continued. But anyways, okay. Comscore is reporting that the now all-time record Memorial Day weekend holiday is coming in at $326.7 million, which is up 221% from the 4-day doldrums of last year when Furiosa flopped, followed by Garfield, which, 2025 at domestic box office from January 1st to May 26th currently stands at $3.3 billion, up 22% over the same period a year ago, which, the beginning of 2024, you had holdovers like Aquaman 2 and Wonka. Then you had Argyle stinking up the theaters, and God, what else was out there? But yeah, this year so far, I mean, it's not like it's really fared that much better. But hey, man, you did have stupid Minecraft, and you had a big drop off. And if it wasn't for the enormous budget, you've had two Marvel movies which weren't there in 2024. So yeah, you could see why it's kind of up. But if you dig through for context, it's not quite as great as they would like for you to believe it is. But yes, it's an understatement to say that happy days are here again at the box office, as this year is only going to get better. Yet not when it comes to real quality storytelling, because honestly, man, this is the one thing you gotta agree with the critics on, okay? It's not exactly a winner, but the audiences really like it, which is, I don't know, man, just kind of a really poor reflection on the future of the industry. Because, okay, cool, what's the message being sent here? Okay, because if you have the critic class coming out and saying, a dull remake, often navigating salty waters and occasionally lacking the grace of the tropical adventure about sisterhood, family, and a sense of belonging. There's a magic in the animated Lilo and Stitch that is sorely missed in the live-action remake. For Disney, Ohana means money, and that's exactly what these miserable, cheap cash grabs generate. People keep paying to see them, so I guess I'll just continue to yell into the void that we deserve better. Oh, poor Adam. If only you knew. Remember when, oh yeah, and another film that came out earlier this year that Disney's already wanting to memory hole. Remember when Snow White came out and it flopped spectacularly? And then we got the news that, oh yeah, the Tangle live action remake, oh yeah, that's just going to get paused. And, you know, a lot of people were saying, oh, Disney's finally learning, we're going to stop with live action remakes. I mean, bruh, take a look, okay? The next one is a Moana live action remake, July 10th, 2026, okay? And then what, later that year, or maybe the year after that, you're getting Moana 3. So it's like, this shit is not stopping anytime soon. Okay, Lilo Stitch, yeah, shatters Memorial Day box office records. Why? Because people don't want new, they just want remembering. They want the devil they know instead of the devil they don't. Right? Because this is your parents, not your great-grandparents' favorite cartoon. What was the lesson that Disney learned from Snow White? Yeah, okay, that was pretty much the end of all of the golden era stuff. Now we can just go ahead and pillage everything that's coming out within the past 20 years. Okay, up next, I'm sure, well, I think like the last Renaissance era animated film that, yeah, it got greenlit a couple of years ago. I'm not entirely sure if it's got a firm release date, but Hercules, which that one's going to hurt me a lot because that was the last Disney film that I remember really enjoying. Like, I watched Mulan, but I was getting a little old for that one by the time that it came out in 99. But yeah, 7-year-old me, when Hercules first came out, like, Hades was fucking awesome. I had a crush on Megara. Like, it was fantastic. Phil was funny as hell, and Pegasus, like, come on, man. It was ostensibly Greek Aladdin, and Aladdin's my favorite Disney movie. And then you throw in a big jacked hero becomes a god at the end. It's like, it was amazing. I loved it. And now it's just gonna suck again. They're gonna make Megara, you know, just the entire impetus Hercules does anything. It's not gonna be him trying to prove himself for his father. It's not gonna be him overcoming Hades at the end. No. It's just gonna be the same old crap that worked before for Disney because, you know, what did they learn from Snow White? Stop doing old stuff, pilfer the new stuff, wait for Atlantis, wait for Treasure Planet, Princess and the Frog. You know that they're all coming. These are creatively bankrupt idiots, man. Yeah, man, the other excuses, they're just, you know, bog standard stuff that we've already been over. But yeah, let's take a look at the box office, right? Because we got numbers, we got the projections, and the fact of the matter is, yeah, this thing's blowing past all the projections. $183 million domestically. I don't even know if we've got all of the international numbers in quite yet, but 158.7 internationally for a $341.7 million opening 4-day weekend. It's a mammoth, man. It's going to be the biggest movie of the year. Very likely to surpass $1 billion, and with no real competition until How to Train Your Dragon in the middle of June. Yeah, this thing's going to be a juggernaut, and it sucks because everything that I'm hearing is just, this thing is, oh boy, not very good. But Disney's just going to learn the wrong lessons from both of their live action remakes coming out this year. Obviously, from, yeah, Snow White, no more of that old stuff. And then from Lilo and Stitch, just recognizable faces. Just go ahead and pilfer all of the new stuff, because if you can just dish out enough member berries for the current parents that are out there, oh, they'll just drag their stupid little kids. You'll get all of those single moms to go into the theaters once again, getting the estranged father to pay for all of the tickets so that whatever stepdad or dad who stepped up comes into the theater with mom and little Jamal. They can go in there and they can enjoy the stuff that mom did back in her youth. Pathetic. But also, it makes up for another Disney flop in the form of the Thunderbolts. And hey, I thought that this was a return to form. This was something that was, you know, through good word of mouth, people were going to continue to go and see it. And oh wait, it's a fucking disaster. Once again, it's not going to get to $400 million. It is currently tracking now very firmly behind Captain America: Brave New World. And here we are. Nobody's talking about it anymore. Oh, big shock. You ended up wasting and diluting the Avengers brand by rebranding it, and nobody's talking about that anymore. Everybody's looking forward to the next Marvel thing because it's going to be so funny, right? For everybody who was saying, oh, this is the best Marvel movie since Endgame. We are so back. This is peak fire. They're going to be running out the exact same arguments for Fantastic Four in a few weeks' time. So predictable. It's so pathetic. And the fact that Disney gets a win in the form of Lilo and Stitch can just go ahead and wipe away all of the failures that they have with Marvel. Thunderbolts box office falls off a cliff, now predicted less than $400 million. We get new insight into the Thunderbolts box office when where it's said to have fallen off a cliff, and that the flick won't even make $400 million. It's another disaster for Kevin Feige and a long line of disasters released post-Endgame. Oh no, but don't worry, Fantastic Four, it's going to benefit from real healthy competition when it gets steamrolled by both Jurassic Park Rebirth, funnily enough, starring the former Black Widow, while her replacement failed so spectacularly. But Yelena, and oh my god, man, like Florence Pugh, oh, she was so great. And Yelena's an amazing character, bro. She is the definition of mid. I don't know why people just keep on gassing this bitch up. Maybe she's great in other films. I haven't seen her outside of just this one performance. I have never seen somebody get glazed so fucking hard in my life. It's just, maybe she's nice. I don't get it at all whatsoever. At least was like, I get Zendaya more than I get Florence Pugh. But I digress. Captain America Brave New World just failed, which was preceded by a big failure of the Marvels. Oh yeah, but no, Deadpool, Wolverine, the Marvel, we're so back. It's so funny how, yeah, even with the Thunderbolts coming out, everybody is starting to tacitly acknowledge that, oh yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine was just a key jangling fest. It's like, you fucking what? Why can't you guys come to these conclusions at the time when this shit comes out? No, you just want to get hype in the moment. Oh my god, I remembered the thing. And this is exactly what's happening with Lilo and Stitch and every other Disney brand. And it's just, I'm so glad we could all just rest over this past Memorial Day weekend. Just have your big old long weekend, the first of the summer, so that we could all pay tribute to all of those who, you know, gave their life in the service, so we could just go ahead and see good old-fashioned storytelling being massacred and paraded around in the streets like the corpse of Saddam Hussein. Fucking pathetic. Up next is Fantastic Four, yes, and so far it's not looking good. Yeah, haven't seen it put out what the projections for that are supposed to be, because we got the ones for Superman, and that looks all right so far. The projections, not for the film. Oh my god, all those rumors surrounding that. And then same with, you know, Jurassic World Rebirth. Oh my god, like it's also going to make $1 billion, and it's going to be so pathetic by the end of this year when we take a look back. It's like, oh great, a live action remake, a reboot of a franchise that was so bad that was still making over $1 billion with each installment. It had to get rebooted, and it's still the same type of crap because, hey, look, we got the Rancor Rex this time around. So fantastic. Oh my god. Instead of just, you know, telling a horrific dinosaur story. No. We got a bunch of mutant dinosaurs because that's what the people want to see, because they're so dumb and they just want to see the computer graphics on the screen. That's what people want. They don't want compelling stories. They don't want interesting characters. They don't want complex development. No. They just want to see the monsters on the screen. This fucking timeline sucks a dick. Yeah, man. Thunderbolts fell off. Word of mouth didn't save it. It's still, you take a look at the numbers, okay? Both the website and the box office totals, and still in a hell of a lot of theaters. Just nobody's going to watch it. And making $9 million over the long weekend. Coming in 5th place, exactly where a lot of people said, myself included, where it was going to be. Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible, Final Destination, and Sinners, all ahead of the Thunderbolts, which was supposed to be oh so great because it's so wonderful that we can address complex issues like mental health. How did they do that? Oh, they gave a big old hug to the villain at the end of it. Fantastic stuff. So great. I'm so glad that we're just here to acknowledge the greatness of movie making. And yeah, like they said, like Variety put it, or Deadline, or whatever it was, we're so back. The summer's finally getting started, and it's only uphill from here. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.